It's the dictionary. 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 It's the dictionary.
Hello, word nerds. How are you doing today? My name is Spencer. I am here to tell you about these words. We have a few more general words in this episode, and since I've recorded the last couple of episodes and the word general has come up so many times, I've been more conscious of when I say it in my day-to-day life, and I've probably said it at least once or twice a day. It's a pretty common word, I think, and I'm not usually aware of when I say things like in general or generally, but now I am, at least for the next few days. Okay, let's talk about these words. The first word is generalship. It is a noun from 1610. Number 1, office or tenure of office of a general. They're not in the Navy, though. Number 2, the synonym is leadership. Leadership, generalship. Yep, I think that makes sense. Number 3, military skill in a high commander. So if a high commander has some military skill, then you would call that skill the generalship, their generalship, because they're a high commander and maybe they're a general and they know how to use guns. All right, it is sound effect time, so I will just go... Well, did I do that recently? Probably. Who cares? Now we have general store, noun from 1835. It is a retail store located usually in a small or rural community that carries a wide variety of goods, including groceries, but is not divided into departments. It's not probably big enough to be divided into departments like your regular grocery store that's very large, and you've got your meat section, and you've got your snacks, and maybe your international foods, maybe your kosher foods, maybe your vegan foods, and you got dairy over there, and juices and frozen meals and frozen pizzas. There's a whole section for frozen pizzas, and fruits and veggies and produce, and the list goes on. But no, not in a general store. It's just all the stuff. I think of general stores as being either from the comic strip The Far Side. I feel like there was a lot of general stores there. And also just in movies and TV shows that take place maybe in the old Western times, and you got to go to the general store, maybe the 1800s, and it's just like they have all the stuff that you need there. And if you're like, hey, I need a thing, they're like, hey, I got you. I'll hook it up, and then the package delivers, and you're like, I got my stuff at the general store. Maybe it's also the post office. Maybe it's also the doctor's office. Now we have general theory of relativity. In the previous episode, we had just general relativity. This one is from 1921, and general relativity was from 1916. I don't remember the reason for the difference in years. But this one is the 3B definition for the word relativity, which was the same synonym as just general relativity. Next is general will, noun from 1792. It is the collective will of a community that is the embodiment or expression of its common interest. So the first thing I think of is like your last will and testament. I don't think that's what this is. This is literally like, what do the people want in a community? What is their will? The word will in this context is so hard to describe. It's just like this word has multiple meanings, and I can't describe it. The collective will of a community. The collective, I would say, the desires, the needs, the wants that is the embodiment or expression of its common interest. What does the majority of the people, the general public, want in this community? That is their general will. Hello, I'm Will Wheaton. I'm your general will. Now we have generate. This is a verb from 1509. Are we starting with transitive or is it all transitive? I think it's all transitive. Here we go. Number 1. To bring into existence. As 1a, the synonyms are procreate and beget. To bring into existence. So in this context, I think with these synonyms in 1a, it's really generating more life, generating more living things, procreating, having the sexy times for the sperm and the egg to meet and make a new thing, beget. That's the same idea that was used a lot in the Bible, and maybe nowhere else. People coming together to make new things. They have beget this new life force, this new living thing. So they generated it. Not a word that I typically think of when I am thinking of making new living things. Generating them? Yes, technically it's true, so I shall allow it. 1b, to originate by a vital chemical or physical process. The synonym is produce, as in generate electricity. So how are you generating electricity? Are you doing it by a vital process, a chemical process, a physical process? I don't know what a vital process would be in this context, not just of electricity, but in general. What is a vital process that you can use to produce something, originate something, generate something? I am going to generate some sounds from my mouth using this physical process. Now we have number 2. To be the good... No. To be the cause of... that's the definition, but we have some parentheses, which are, it is a situation, action, or state of mind. So to be the cause of a situation, to be the cause of an action, to be the cause of a state of mind. The example is, these stories generate a good deal of psychological suspense. That is from The Atlantic. So these stories are generating a lot of psychological suspense in me because it's like, it's so slow. We're watching a horror movie, a suspense movie, and they're building that tension. It's generating, it's putting me into a state of mind of suspense by the music, by the slowness of everything, by the cutting back and forth maybe to generate that suspense. Ooh, it makes me feel so good. Okay, anything else? No, let's move on to number 3. To define, is this a long definition? To define or originate as a mathematical or linguistic set or structure by the application of one or more rules or operations, especially to trace out as a curve by a moving point or trace out as a surface by a moving curve. Ooh, what are we talking about? We're talking about math and stuff? Linguistic set or structure? To define or originate by the application of one or more rules or operations. Okay, especially to trace out by a moving point or to trace out by a moving curve. All right, yeah, this seems like it's some sort of mathy sort of what's the other word I'm looking for? These rules and maybe coding possibly could be part of this. I don't know. It's kind of a wide-ranging definition that is a little bit too much for my brain, so I shall not think about it anymore, and I shall tell you, here we go. We're going to talk about the etymology. This is from the Latin verb generare, which is also from genus, which means descent or birth. So I guess a descent, like when you make a new thing, that is your descendant, right? And there's more at the word kin. So yes, generating is just making a new thing, creation. I am generating this episode as I speak. Now we have the word generation. It is a noun from the 14th century. We got a number of definitions. 1a, a body of living beings constituting a single step in the line of descent from an ancestor. Well, to put it in another way, you've got an ancestor, and then the next level down, when they generate more living things, that's a new generation. That generation creates a new level of living things. That's another generation. Parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, kids, children, grandchildren, they're all different generations. But we also have 1b, a group of individuals born and living contemporaneously. So this is, let's say, all of the people born in the year I was born, which was 1980. All of those people born in 1980, you can call us a whole generation. But it expands larger than that, doesn't it? Oh, yes, it does. We have now 1c, a group of individuals having contemporaneously a status which each holds only for a limited period. Ooh, what is that? Well, the status could be that of students in a school. Okay, so yes, you are going to be in this school just for a temporary amount of time. If it's maybe a high school in America, it could be 4 years. And so all of that, the group of individuals at that high school at that one time are a generation, but they're only there for a limited amount of time. And then they're like, let me get out of here. I want to go see the world. I want to go to college. I want to travel. I want to work. I want to do all these other things now that I have been part of that generation. 1d, a type of class or objects usually developed from an earlier type. Example is first of the new generation of powerful supersonic fighters. And that is a quote from Kenneth Koyen. Well, of course, technology. This is largely about technology. I have a smartphone over here sitting on the desk, and you very likely probably do as well. And so they are all these new generations. Every time they create a new version of that thing, we call it a new generation. And the iPhone has had some funny names, maybe not funny per se, but some a little playing around with the names. But are we gonna get to iPhone 20, iPhone 30? How long are we gonna be doing this? Do we have to come up with new things? Back in the day, the new generation of a product, of a piece of technology, could have been many years in between generations. I think about video game systems. There were many years between the NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System, and then the Super Nintendo, the SNES, and then the Nintendo 64, the N64, and then did we go to the GameCube after that, and then was the Wii after that? Am I missing one in the middle? I don't remember. And then so the Wii, and then the Wii U, and then the Switch, and the Switch I think has completely taken over the Nintendo home video game system. I mean, the last one I got was the Wii, so I'm way out of the game. But the Switch, and then the Switch 2, of course, and then it's like you could do it at home, but you could take it out with you as well. And it's like you got all this technology in this little thing. Those are so many, and they've expanded. They've gotten so much better as time has gone on. And I'll stop rambling now about video games. Okay, now we have number 2A. The action or process of producing offspring, and the synonym is procreation. Okay, so this is obviously related to generate Oh, is that where the word came from? Because when you generate a new living thing, then that is a generation. Oh, I never thought about where this word came from. Because you have generated them. Oh. So what was this one again? The action or process of producing offspring. You are doing the procreation. Oh, I don't know if I've used it in this way before. The action of procreation, you could also say the action of generation. To create a generation. Interesting. To be. The process of coming or bringing into being, as in generation of income. I like the generation of income. I don't get like things like this podcast. It's not. There's no generation of income from this. I would like it to be, but sadly, no. So the process of coming and bringing into, so you're creating something, generating something. So that action is the generation of that thing, and hopefully maybe it's some income. To see. Origination by a generating process, the synonym is production, especially formation of a geometric figure by motion of another. Formation of a geometric figure by motion of another? So when one thing is moving, it's creating a geometric figure. That's called generation because it's creating a thing? Okay, so number one seemed to be all about groups of people. Different versions of those. Number two was about the creation of a thing. Different versions of that. And now we have number three, just one. There's no sub-definitions for this. It is the average span of time between the birth of parents and that of their offspring. So the average span of time between, sorry, I just have an itch, a scratchy, itchy. Itchy and Scratchy are on my eyelid having a fight. The Itchy and Scratchy Show. So the average span of time between the birth of parents and that of their offspring. So the birth of parents and the birth of their offspring, what is that average span of time? Well, I mean, it's been changing over the years. I think back in the day, like when my grandparents, great-grandparents were young, it was probably average of 20 to 25 years, maybe leaning on the younger side, because I had a couple of grandparents, great-grandparents who were pretty darn young when they started having the babies. But then, I'd say 25 to 30 was an average for a long time, and of course that age has been going up over time, but there's still people who are having kids at a young age. So I don't know. Let's do this. Let's just look up what is the average what's the word I'm looking for? Is it generation? Is it the average span of time? This is a terrible Google. Span of time between parents' birth. There's another way to put this. And kids' birth. What? I can't even think about what that would be. The average time between blah, 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 parental age at childbirth. That's what it is, the parental age when their kids are born. But falls into the early mid-20s for the first-time mothers, with the average time between children is 2 to 4 years. It's going to depend on the part of the world and year, but I was curious just right now. It does seem that they tend to say 25. That seems like a kind of an average. So anyway, that's that. What was the generation between you and your parents? But my parents were, how old was my sister? I'm doing math real fast. I think my mom was 23, almost 23, when my sister was born, and 27 when I was born. And I think that was maybe relatively average for that time of that time period. Anyway, generational is an adjective, generationally is an adverb, and of course, it wasn't maybe as specifically called out, but one of those number one definitions is all about a group of people at a certain time. A group of individuals having contemporaneously a status. Oh no, that was the temporary one. Maybe it was this one. A group of individuals born and living contemporaneously. So I think that one, when we think about the boomers, Generation X, millennials, etc., that's kind of the word generation. That's the definition that we're thinking of. And I say that because we now have two of them here, and I shall talk about these briefly. I feel like I talked about them a little while ago, but I don't remember what the context was. We have Generation X. Ooh, Generation X. Sounds so creepy and scary and suspenseful. It is a noun from 1989. It is the generation of Americans born in the 1960s and 1970s. Generation Xer is a noun. I do feel like there are some things that will say that Generation X goes a bit into the 80s, but we'll look into that. Now we have Generation Y, noun from 1992. The generation of Americans born in the 1980s and 1990s. And it's also called the millennials because they were the ones who were born right before the millennium changed and were so much more used to technology and stuff. But I don't hear Generation Y so much. Do you? I mean, every once in a while I'll hear that, but it's we definitely say millennials more. So now let's dig into it because there's a lot of information here. And what's funny to me about this whole generation thing is this is a relatively new concept that we've been talking about. The list of generations starts with the greatest generation. They were born between 1901 and 1927 or 1924, I guess, depending on who you're talking to. So most of my grandparents would have fallen into that category. They were born in 25, 26, 27, and then the fourth one was born in 1930. But, I think that there's some crossover. So they were the greatest generation. Is that because that they were... why were they so great? We could also look that up. Why? That's not why. Why was the greatest generation called that? That auto-filled for me. Thank you so much, Internet. A term popularized by Tom Brokaw refers to Americans born between 1901 and 1927, give or take, who endured the Great Depression, fought in World War II, and then built post-war America, earning the name for their collective resilience, sacrifice, strong work ethic, and selfless service to the nation during unprecedented crises. That's kind of what I was thinking. I was thinking, yeah, World War II service, but yeah, the Great Depression, and then having to build after that. They were like, yes. So they are the greatest ones because they had to go through some shit. Hey, guess what? We're all going through some shit right now, too. Okay, so then we have the silent generation. They were born about between 1928 and 1945. And I wonder, can I just click on this link? Here we go. Characterized as hardworking, conformist, and loyal traditionalists who grew up during the Great Depression and World War II, but they were, of course, a bit younger. Valuing stability and following rules, though they also quietly led social shifts like the civil rights movement and birthed rock and roll. They are also known for their resilience, thriftiness, and build-it-yourself ethos, forming a bridge between the World War II fighting greatest generation and the rebellious baby boomers, making them a foundation for modern America. Why were they silent? They had a quiet demeanor. They were pivotal in the civil rights movement. Okay, so, but yeah, so technically my grandma would have been born in right at the beginning of the silent generation. Then we get into the baby boomers. Oh, and let's look at the amount of years, okay? This is something that fascinates me. The greatest generation was about 23 to 26 years, depending on what you're looking at there. The silent generation would be, looks like 17 years. Am I doing my math correct? 1928 to 1945. And then we have the baby boomers, 1946 to 1964. So that would be 18 years. 18 years. Very similar to the silent generation. And what do we have to say about the baby boomers? Well, I mean, right off the bat, I know that there was a huge boom in babies when all the people came back from World War II. They were like, hey, it's time to get busy. Let's generate some generations. And there was a huge boom in lots of people being born. Yeah, that's basically it. Often shortened to boomers, which is a more recent thing. They are the demographic cohort preceded by the silent generation and followed by Generation X. Defined. I wanted some more. Give me some more. They're defined by more rebellion, love, free love, hippies, etc., those sorts of things. Obviously not all of them were like that, but a lot. Okay, and then, so my parents are baby boomers for sure, born in 50 and 53, going all the way to 1964 were the baby boomers. And then we get into Generation X, or as we sometimes like to say, Gen X. They were born between 65 and 80. That's the year I was born, so I am right on the cusp of that. Or maybe 1979, depending on who you were talking to. And let's. Is there a link here? Nope. I think we need to do a quick little. What defines Generation X? Yeah. Oh, let's see. Characterized by their independence, self-reliance, and skepticism, shaped by growing up with dual-income divorced parents, called latchkey kids, and witnessing rapid technological shifts like the rise of personal computers and the internet. They are pragmatic, adaptable, resourceful, critical thinkers who value work-life balance, authenticity, and are often seen as the middle child generation between boomers and millennials. Yep, and I'm right at the tail end of that. Let's see. Yeah, I did not have a latchkey kid experience, and that was less of the time that I was born and more because my parents were not divorced. And luckily in our situation, my mom didn't have to work, and my dad's work was sort of random and sporadic, so he was around a lot, and I was very, very lucky, and I'm aware of that. And I appreciate that. I'm grateful for that I did not have that latchkey kid experience. So, Generation X. And then we get into the millennials, Generation Y, born between 1981 and 1996 or 1994. And so in a lot of ways, I really identify as a millennial. But I also kind of identify as X to a degree. But luckily, and it's not listed here, but there is a sub generation between about 77 and 83, give or take, which of course I'm right in the middle of, called Xennial, or I guess some people will say Zennial because of the X at the beginning of the word, but I think it makes more sense to say Xennial because of the X. And we're that cusp, we're that transition point between X and Y, X and millennial, that we still have tendencies of X, but are much more used to technology and stuff like that. So, let's just do a quick little look at what defines Generation Y. The demographic group between roughly 81 and 96, following Gen X and preceding Gen Z. They are known for being the first truly digital natives, growing up with the rise of the internet, mobile phones, and social media, which shaped their communication, work, and consumption habits, often characterized by tech-savvy idealism, and a focus on work-life balance. Major events like 9/11, the Great Recession. So the technology, digital stuff for sure, because we got our first computer when I was like 4. So I have barely ever known a life without a computer in my life. And that's just kind of crazy. Again, very lucky. So that's those are those generations, but we have more. Yes, I'm not going to stop there. I'm going to keep on going. We got more. We have. Oh, I forgot my numbers. So the baby boomers was 18 years. Generation X is about 15 years. Generation Y, millennials, is also about 15 years. And then we get into Generation Z or Z or Gen Z, Gen Z, also called iGen because of all the I things that Apple has created, and also Zoomers. So this is 1997 to 2012 or 2012, and that is another 15 years right there. So let's just look up what defines Generation Z. Let's see. Digital natives growing up with the internet because it was already there pretty much when they were born. So they're like, this is just part of the world. It always existed, didn't it? Growing up with the internet, smartphones, and social media, shaping them to be tech-savvy, diverse, pragmatic, and focused on mental health, authenticity, and purpose in their careers and lives, often viewing the world through a lens of climate anxiety and social justice, because those are all the huge things that were going on when they were being raised, growing up. I love that there's more of a purpose on their careers and lives, that they look to the older generations and that they were like, well, we had to do things because of this, our life situations. And they were like, I want to do more of what I love. And I love that. I think I'm going to be a Generation Z. Let's see. Anything else? Yeah. Climate, social justice, big things that have been such a big part of their younger days. Then we move on to Generation Alpha. Born between 2013 and 2025. That is a 12-year time period. And this has been one of the things that I have noticed talking about these generations over all these years, is that they are shrinking. The greatest generation was 26. It was well over 20 years. And we have cut that in half because life, culture, society, technology is moving so much more quickly than it used to. Our generations are getting smaller and smaller because there are such huge differences in such a short amount of time. Generation Alpha is about a 12-year time period. My niece is kind of on the cusp of Z and Alpha. She's, I guess, at the tail end of Z. But let's learn. Let's learn about Generation Alpha. And why? So we said X. Why did we use Generation X in the first place? Or they're like, oh, we can't define them. Ooh, is X, it's whatever, the X factor. We're like, all right, well, we'll move on to Y. And then, okay, let's move on to Z. And then we're like, oh, crap, we started at the end of the alphabet. Why did we do that? Why didn't we start at the A? We didn't know what we were doing. We just jumped into this. We were making this up as we go along. We have no idea why we're naming these things. I guess we got to start back at A. Let's go back. Let's go use to the Greek alpha. Okay. Generation Alpha. The first generation born entirely in the 21st century and children of millennials. That blows my mind because I'm a millennial and I have no kids and I am not having kids. I'm an exennial. But yes, of course, millennials are in their 40s. So yes, of course, they have kids. They are characterized by being true digital natives growing up with ubiquitous screens, AI, and constant connectivity, shaped by events like COVID-19, and expected to be the largest, most educated, and technologically integrated generation yet, of course, obviously, influencing culture and commerce from infancy. Oh, yeah, they are in the world of technology and screens and stuff. And then we have the final one, which just started last year, Generation Beta. Started in 2025. How long will this go? I would predict that the end of the Generation Beta time will be probably no later than 2037, based on the pattern that we're seeing, maybe even 2035. We have really no idea how how this generation will be defined because it just started. But let's see a little bit about what this is saying. It defines individuals born during, it even says 2025 and 2039, but I'm not so sure about that last year. Succeeding generation alpha characterized by deep technological immersion, AI, AR, augmented reality, VR, virtual reality, growing up with older millennial Gen Z parents facing major climate change issues and being the first generation to truly come of age post-COVID with expectations for instant gratification and navigating significant societal shifts like automation and urbanization. Oh, yeah, even older Gen Z parents. Man, I am so old. Okay. Well, you talk about generation. I have to dig into some of these topics when they come across. So I apologize for that very, very long section, but I think it was important to discuss, I believe. All right, now let's move on. I guess we should do this kind of quickly. Generative. This is an adjective from the 14th century, having the power or function of generating, originating, producing, or reproducing. Generative. Ooh, I mean, that gets into generative AI, right? That's a term that we're using, I think. Generative cell, CELL, noun from 1868. A sexual reproductive cell, and the synonym is gamete. So, I mean, would that technically be an egg or a sperm? Are those considered gametes? Oh, I had gamete a while ago. Let me just do a quick little double check because it makes me think, gamete, sometimes in my brain, I want to say that that's what happened after the sperm and egg came together. But a sexual reproductive cell, and one individual cell, makes me think of the sperm and the egg. Here we go. Yes, a gamete, a mature male or female germ cell, usually possessing a haploid chromosome set and capable of initiating formation of a new diploid individual by fusion with a gamete of the opposite sex. So yes. And of course, they didn't use sperm and egg there because we're talking about gametes of all different living things, not just humans, mammals, like that. A generative cell is something that it will generate more new things of its similar kind, same kind. Generative grammar. Noun from 1959, number 1. A description in the form of a set of rules for producing the grammatical sentences of a language. Description in the form of a set. I'm not going to listen to your rules for producing grammatical sentences. I like it when we switch words around, use wrong words. I use air quotes there, wrong words. I appreciate breaking the generative grammar just to have fun with it, have fun with language. Yeah, I don't do that a lot here, maybe a little bit actually, but yes, I should do more of messing up generative grammar. Now we have number 2. The synonym is transformational grammar. I have no idea what that is. Generative nucleus. Noun from circa 1892. The one of the two nuclei resulting from the first division in the pollen grain of a seed plant that gives rise to sperm nuclei. Compare to tube nucleus. So there's generative nucleus and tube nucleus. One of the two nuclei one is generative and one is tube. What do these mean? They're resulting from the first division of the pollen grain of a seed plant that gives rise to sperm nuclei. Yeah, I don't know what this stuff is. We are going to move on to generative semantics. It is a noun from 1970. We had general semantics at the end of the previous episode. This is generative semantics. It is a description of a language emphasizing a semantic deep structure that is logical in form, that provides syntactic structure, and that is related to surface structure by transformations. And I don't know what any of that means because I have no knowledge of what this world is that we're talking about. Was it a psychology thing? I don't remember. I think I put a link in the show notes maybe in the previous episode way back over there. So go check that out. All right, let's move on to the very last word. Generator. Generator. It's spelled with an O-R at the end. Noun from 1646. Number one that generates as 1A. An apparatus in which vapor or gas is formed. So it's generating a vapor, generating a gas? The vapor or the gas is formed. I mean, I know that there are generators that are using gas to produce energy. In case your power goes down, then you can use the generator. But is the gas formed? Well, we have also 1B, a machine by which mechanical energy is changed into electrical energy. That's the generator that I'm thinking of. Number 2, a mathematical entity that when subjected to one or more operations yields another mathematical entity or its elements. Ooh, it just created this new thing. But specifically, the synonym generatrix? Oh, that's the next word. Generatrix. That will be the first word in the next episode. Ooh, fascinating. Okay, so a mathy thing called a generator. It's word of the episode time. Word of the episode. Word of the episode. We had generalship, general store, general theory of relativity, general will, generate, generation, generation X, generation Y, generative, generative cell, generative grammar, generative nucleus, generative semantics, and generator. I guess I'll just pick generation. Obviously, I had a huge talk about the generations. We've got so many generations. There's a bunch of generations. We got the greatest generation, the silent generation, the baby boomers. They don't have the word generation in their name. Generation X, Generation Y, Generation Z, Generation Alpha, and Generation Beta. What happened before the greatest generation, before the 1900s? Were they not sorting people by generation? What happened? Generations, generations, look at all the generations. There must be a couple of people still alive from the greatest generation, and they are so old. All right, it's movie time. Let's talk about a movie. Let's see. Okay, here we go. I was still on a plane at this time period that I'm talking about. I watched My Mom Jayne. And I think I heard of this on Mark Maron's podcast, which he is not doing anymore because Mariska Hargitay was on, and she is the one who made this documentary about her mom, Jayne Mansfield. And I really didn't know much about her. This was a fascinating look at her and her life. And then there's more. And that's all I want to say. So I highly recommend this very interesting look at this person who is so famous in the earlier 20th century. What generation would she have been? Was she part of the greatest generation? Let's look up. When was Jayne Mansfield born? Thank you, autofill. 1933. So she would have been in the silent generation. And she died very young. 1967. She was 44. That's younger than me. All right, that's the end of the episode. Thank you so much for checking out this show. I hope you are enjoying me talking about this stuff. And if so, then maybe there's another person in your life who would agree with that statement, and you could send it to them. This has been Spencer, dispensing information. Goodbye.